Hello and welcome to Fort Fritz, Episode 7. I'm going to let you in on a secret here. It's a very close-guarded secret, but we are going to try to scare you by using real-life stories, and also we're going to embellish a little bit. Maybe now, maybe later. But be forewarned, if you are not into anything that's going to scare you right now, maybe you're in the wrong mindset, go ahead and hop off, and we will catch you on the next one, but probably not. You are listening to Fort Fritz. Thank you for joining co-host Mandaddy.
Hi.
Nick Spry.
Hello.
And Kaz.
Howdy.
You're all looking absolutely dapper tonight.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for showing up. I can't, it's like, I can't even.
It's really boggy out here.
Yeah.
Like super boggy.
No. Don't step on the grass. Don't step on the mud.
Where else is there to step?
Seems only to be.
That's for you to answer.
I'm not so much stepping into it as I'm sinking into it.
Yeah, there's a very. It's actually kind of feels like it's pulling me
Squelchy.
in a little bit.
Squelchy is the word.
Use
Squanchy?
Squanchy.
Sink if you have to, but I swear to you, I just saw something that was absolutely otherworldly.
What was it?
Oh, that's scary.
I can't even
in this place, gee, that never happens here.
Well, this is outside. I didn't think it was going to happen outside.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen outside with the stuff that's happened inside.
Well, you know,
We
didn't
try.
quite dress for the occasion. It's a little muddy out here.
Yeah.
Kind of boggish.
I've got nice pants on for once, and it's all the way up to my, halfway up to my knee right now, so this is not good.
You didn't get my text about not having to wear pants tonight?
Hey, I
Nope.
thought that was a joke.
Oh, I never joke.
I don't really
Not about pants, about pants.
No.
I'm not a fan of the Porky Pig in public.
It's definitely the move.
Yeah.
What?
No pants, folks.
This is what I saw. Allow me, please, to remember it to you. Where Fort Fritz is, and of course I've inherited this haunted house from my late uncle. Where Fort Fritz is located, it's subject to a lot of sudden downpours, like extremely heavy rain and sometimes hail and sometimes snow, depending on the
Microbursts?
season. Microbursts. Thank you, Man Daddy.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Fritz.
Yeah. This sudden storm that is now retreating, you can see it far back, like 50,000 feet in the air. These storms are.
Where are you getting these measurements?
There's something, alt news. There's something that happens between protons or neutrons in a cell that actually will create lightning. What
Could you
I
be
just
more
saw,
vague?
what I just saw was
God.
what I just saw was almost a syncopated light show in the clouds.
Really?
What do you mean?
Like it was like
Syncopated to what?
Like a rush? Like a rush? Hey!
Like Hava Nagila?
So do you believe that you're being invaded by Jewish aliens?
Who's to say?
Am I Jewish? I don't know.
That's what
It's
Stargate
something
was
you
about.
should be aware of.
I know it's just religion and me. We don't. I don't know if we're friends on Facebook.
It sure is pretty, though.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, look at it go. It's like dancing. It's like one of those, like when you go into, like the beginning of that Monty Python and the Holy Grail where they do the llama montage. It's like those flashing red and white placards that they have, you know, when they go, llamas. And they tell
It's a
everybody,
deep reference from Nick Spry right there.
Yeah,
Deep
that
reference
was
from
like-
Nick Spry. That was nice.
Pulled it out of the trunk there. That was badass.
I was afraid you were talking about Monty Python where God wearing a crown comes up over the
With the
clouds
foot,
is about to
just like
happen.
oh, that
Just
happens
thing.
in so many of them. You have
Most
to
of them, actually.
specify which one.
By the way, God in the Monty Python films is a rugby player,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
and
Really?
I can't remember it offhand. But
Because of his cuffs?
irregardless, what I saw in that night sky was friggin' aliens, man.
Is it similar to what we're seeing right now?
No, you missed it. God,
This
I
looks
tried
more
to
just like
text you,
regular
but-
lightning, yeah. So you were seeing something more.
What did you think was
actual-
pretty then?
Were they moving around?
They were moving around. They were traveling at very high speeds, and then they would stop, and then they would slow down like a trap music remix.
What is trap? I'm too old to know what trap is. What is trap?
Wikipedia.
So I go to Wikipedia. I must go.
Wikipedia.
Here, Wikipedia. I am too old to understand what trap means. Please enlighten me, O great Wikipedia.
Also, what does it mean to be lit, Wikipedia?
Do I need to be woke before I can be lit, or can I be lit and woke? Just keep it
Just keep
100.
it at 100, my child. 100, 100, 100, fire emoji.
Crying smiley face.
Does anybody here know what that would be? Other, like, besides the just the typical natural phenomenon of cloud to cloud lightning? Because that was crazy.
Maybe a space disco?
So let me ask you guys this. If I were to tell you that these lights were attributed to, let's say, squid boat lights reflecting off of the clouds, what would you tell me?
Really?
Would you think that was... See, you would think it was a little bit, maybe an iffy explanation.
Specifically squid boat lights.
All right, let's say maybe that's a little out of the realm of possibility.
Okay.
What if I told you they were unburnt meteors?
Maybe.
But I thought
Still
it'd have
seems
to
a
be
little weird,
burning
right?
meteors
Yeah,
to make light.
Yeah, well, and in syncopation, too. That's
Kaz, are you referring to meteorites?
Unburnt meteors.
Well, wouldn't that be a meteor,
A meteorite?
entering the Earth? Well, no, yeah.
Well,
it's
I
just-
mean, I'm not some sort of
Scientist.
meteor
Well, that's what it
scientist
should
around
have
you
here
claim to
who's-
be.
that's what a shooting star would be, right? It would just be a little unburnt
I'd have to
rock.
take your word for it, yeah.
Huh.
I would assume so, though. That does make sense.
Hey, are you putting us on?
I think,
What are you
is
getting
it like
at?
meteors actually make it all the way to the ground and meteorites burn up?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And do meteors hang from the top of the cave, or do they stick up from the bottom?
I believe once it's inside of the Earth's atmosphere, it's considered a meteorite, no matter what. And when it's a meteor, it's outside of
Okay.
What about, like, let's say I say it's a Venus. It's all of these lights that you're seeing dance around, stay still, move, change their position. That's the light of Venus right now. What would you say to that? What if I told you that was the
How is that
explanation?
even possible?
How is it creating light?
Well,
You guys are all coming up with very valid questions to some pretty shaky explanations that I would have for these lights, right?
Okay.
Sure.
You guys ever hear about the Kaikoura Lights? The Kaikoura Lights is the name given to a series of unexplained phenomenon occurring over the Kaikoura region of New Zealand.
how do you spell that?
Kaikoura.
Okay.
In this region in New Zealand in 1978, there were two separate instances of these unexplained lights tracking aircraft around Kaikoura, New Zealand. Initially, the first sighting was made on December 21st. It was the crew of a cargo aircraft radioed into a local air traffic controller and said, there's these weird lights basically tracking us. They're on the side of the plane, and then they're updating as the position of the lights is changing. It's above the plane, now it's hovering, now it's fallen back and they can't see it anymore. Now it's returned, it's on the other side of the wing. So this light is moving alongside them, it's falling back, it's seeming to observe them in some way. Simultaneously, police and various emergency services in the area were getting frantic phone calls from people about these strange lights that are showing up over their towns and the area. Several other air traffic controllers reported seeing what they called a paint on the radar, which was basically a blip. They're seeing this thing, but it doesn't have a record. It's not supposed to be there, and it's there 1 second and gone the next, and they're not really sure what's going on. So this caused kind of an uproar in the community. Everybody kind of wanted to know what was going on. They reached out to the Ministry of Defense for New Zealand. They were like, hey, look, what's going on? Are we being attacked? Like, what's happening? And the explanations that the New Zealand government gave to the people were that they were lights from squid boats, that it was the light of Venus, that it was unburnt meteors, that they were cars and trains.
In the sky?
Right.
That followed planes?
Well, okay, so you have the sun as the brightest object in our sky. You've got the moon at number 2. Venus is number 3. It's incredibly bright.
Oh, I'm sure, but I don't believe that the light reflecting from Venus is able to move alongside your plane and track it and change position and disappear and come back. So, needless to say, these people were extremely frightened, so much so that news crew from Australia decided to send over a filming crew to interview some people about the sightings to ask them what happened. So again, 9 days later, on the evening of December 30th, 1978, the television crew that came to interview people about their sightings for the initial light sightings, the television crew was en route to their filming location and witnessed the lights for themselves and actually were able to capture footage of these lights tracking their aircraft.
What?
Moving around in sort of erratic patterns, following them, stopping. Certain of the photographs that you can see, things apparently being dropped off. There are these sort of almost transparent sort of discs that appear to like fall away as they leave the bottom of the craft. Yeah, like a green turtle shell. Like
that's a speed bump.
Once again, this is something that just sort of blew up in the area. Everybody was, naturally horrified. There was this unexplained, mysterious light that was kind of beaming around, and people they weren't getting a solid explanation from the government. And not only that, but now we're in the age of, film. Like, they were able to capture this on camera, and we have evidence. And if you've never seen the footage of the Kaikoura Lights, look it up, because it is supremely spooky.
Really?
Yes.
Are they all?
And it's good footage. It's not.
Well, I mean, it's from '78. Like,
but still, it's not like because a lot of times it's like grab the worst camera we've ever seen.
So only 9 days later did this second occurrence happen to the news crew that came to interview the people who had seen the first one.
Were all of these lights, since you've watched the video, I haven't seen it, were all of these lights the same color? Were they all just like white lights, or were they multicolored?
So the lights that you see, obviously, from the 1978 camera crew footage is this sort of bright white, yellowish moving orb, right? The descriptions from the pilot varies. Like the initially he's saying it looks like it's as big as a house. There has to be something huge off to our left. And then he says, never mind. I'm seeing like sort of a wall of blinking lights. These like really quickly blinking lights. I'm not sure what's going on. And then the blinking stopped, and then the bigger lights resumed. So there appeared to be some sort of changing that was happening with the lights. They weren't able to get a solid view on whatever this thing was, but it was definitely able to not only keep up with their craft, but change position around it very quickly, and then also be gone instantly, and have our advanced radar detection services not able to pick it up. There was a man named Ian Uffendell working at an Air Force base in the area that has an additional story to add to this, in that he was working the whole week of the initial light sighting. So he was there during the initial panic and their sort of data collection and stuff like that. What he says is that the stories of the Kaikoura Lights do not tell you that on December 18th, the night before the famous sightings, two children, they called them children, but I guess these people were 15, 16, they were teenagers, burst into a police station and were frantic, and they were unable to basically get a straight story out of them. As they pieced the story together, these two kids were essentially chased down some strange mountain road in New Zealand by a light at ground level with their car that would catch up to the passenger side, drop back behind them, catch up to the driver's side, move away. When they tried to stop and sort of investigate, it would like go away and then resume tracking them, maybe like a mile later down the road. So
that would kind of play hand in hand with that highly maneuverable craft that the pilot was talking about as well. And if these were being dropped from like a mothership, it's almost like this acting drone in a way.
Right. I mean, to us now, it sounds like we can, in 2017, I could tell you, maybe there was like a really
little
nice
recon drone,
right? A really nicely made
do that,
recon drone. Yeah. Now that seems feasible. In 1978, I'm sure they didn't think anything about that. They figured if it has to fly, it has to.
They had just seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They're like, man, I'm just spooked out by that.
It is kind of a coincidence. Was this right around Devil's Tower?
Mashed potatoes, sales are just dropping.
Mashed potatoes were in
left and right.
This means something.
Succotash was out.
Are mashed potatoes hot? They are not.
They are not.
But they are delicious.
So this is widely regarded as one of the most credible UFO sightings that we have, just because there were 7 witnesses, 2 tape recordings, detection records of detection of unusual ground and airplane radar targets, and 16 millimeter color movie. So this is well documented. And to me, and it also sounds like to you guys, the explanations are pretty bogus, right?
Yeah.
Unburnt meteors, squid boat lights. That all sounds like
Did they ever
bogus.
come back on it? Did they ever say, "All right, well, we know it wasn't what we said. We just don't know what it was"? Or did they double down at all?
I've read some recent publications around it, and it still sounds like they're sticking to their guns on it was Venus, it was unburnt meteors, it was
Those
nothing.
Damn Kiwis.
Were they totally silent lights too? Because that's terrifying as well.
Yeah,
was there a sound accompanying it? Or were they being chased
story,
this entire time just by the silent flashing
The story by the guy who talked about the kids who were being chased down the road by the light said that, specifically it would made no sound. It was just tracking them, basically.
Physics be damned.
Right.
One visual explanation for UFOs are swamp gas. Have you guys heard about that? Methane or some kind of dense gas will be released. But and also, I think Marfa, Texas has the Marfa lights.
Oh yeah,
we have the Oviedo lights.
Yeah, and the Oviedo lights. Yep. Very nice, man, Daddy.
But
the Oviedo lights.
Thank you, Fritz.
But even moonlight, refracting light through clouds of gas, wouldn't account for something chasing it.
Maneuverability.
Maneuverability.
I feel like the
disappearing and reappearing.
Right. The sort of cohesive orb that is moving around kind of changes the idea of it being like refracted gas light or whatever. This is like a thing like moving through the mist at you. This is not, oh, hey, I saw a sparkle. These are people with radars. It's not like, you're standing out in your backyard going, oh, maybe that was a firefly. This is like radar technology to make sure we're not crashing airplanes into each other and they're like, hey, there's something out there and we don't know what it is.
Is there actual audio recordings of the
internal
pilot?
base communication? I believe there is one recording of one of the pilots as he radioed in to describe the light, and that is also pretty spooky if you look that up.
Well, let's see if we can try to find it with like additional research, but in the time being. Let's get the hell out of this open plane in the back 40 and let's go back into the house.
Yeah, I lost one of my shoes.
Nope.
Yeah, shoe if you're lucky. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a foot at this point.
I'm sure there's feet and shoes in the house. Let's just get back to the house.
You have extra feet inside your house?
In his house? Of course he does.
You knew my late Uncle Felix as well as I do, okay, at this point. All right, let's go back inside. You are listening to Fort Fritz. After the break, we will have voicemails from people who have called in to our hotline at 570-478-3789. That's 570-4RT-FRTZ. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we will catch you on the flippy side. Fort Fritz. Welcome back to Fort Fritz. Now, we just listened to a couple voicemails, and we would like to play you this one that was called in to 570-4RT-FRTZ.
I actually have quite a few. I'm going to start with my most recent. We have a local hotel that my boyfriend and I frequent when he comes to town. Go out into the smoking area, so to speak, out by the hotel, and have one of the chairs out of the four in the row just slide out from the wall. Oh, like 3 feet out from the wall, not just a little slide. And then my very funny boyfriend would come out, and he would sit with his little spirit box app thing that he has on his phone. And basically, it would have all these little green bars that would go up and down to kind of show you if anything was happening as far as, like, activity. And I asked it, I said, are you the one that moved the chair for me? His phone goes crazy. It goes, bring her. And followed by, shortly, my boyfriend picking up his phone and saying, we're going inside. I have a friend that pegs himself as a medium. And so we went out there with his actual spirit box and had quite the conversation. Not only they know us by name, but they just basically said they enjoyed our company.
Amanda, your boyfriend seems like a very brave and industrious fellow, but I would caution you against amateur ghost hunting. We are professionals. We make it look easy, but I think that this is something that you should be taking a little bit more seriously.
I'm glad that they went from having the app spirit box to having a real spirit box, because you don't want to go in there with fake spirit boxes.
Right, so that was the
who
first,
knows what could happen.
That was the first pro move, right? Like they're definitely stepping in the right direction with the real spirit box.
Yeah.
But so that leave that app stuff alone.
Yeah, my real spirit box, the adapter on it is starting to go, so when I plug it in, it doesn't quite charge. It's
really?
Guitar Center.
Is it mini USB or full?
It's the one that it's like a trapezoid, but with the little indentations.
Fake!
Fake spirit box. Going back to the initial physical contact of the chair moving across the hallway, like that's a legitimate, I think, haunting.
Oh, yeah.
So for this app to kind of go haywire is to be expected, right?
Well, do you think that hauntings and poltergeists can be different things, though?
Yes.
That poltergeists can sometimes just be the energy of a person, whereas a haunting would be an attached spirit.
Full disclosure, I don't know a lot about the differences between the actual spirits, but I always tend to believe 80 skew to 20 that there can be some kind of energy that can push things, that can control an environment, whether positive or negative.
Well, it seemed like at the end all be all was that they were friendly little ghosts. So if anything, Amanda has got a nice polite ghost to pull out.
Those could be called sprites. That's another type of spirit.
Chair for her at social functions.
You think that the words "bring her" are sort of friendly and inviting ghost words to hear from?
Maybe the ghost's English is not so hot.
Well, no, okay.
Maybe
Check out.
So that's something that. Go ahead.
Now, here's the difference: bring her or bring her.
Either way, it sounds creepy to me. Both sound creepy to me, honestly.
Promo. Marking that one.
There is a thing that I'm sure you guys, like in our research we've done. I won't say that there's a prevalence or a preference of ghosts towards women, but you do sort of see that kind of pretty girl enters the room, all of a sudden, ghostly stuff will happen, chairs will pop out, and weird, ghosts.
Among other things, am I right?
Hi-yo. The ghosts, they're suave dudes, right? He understands, like, pull the chair out for the lady. Like,
Yeah.
Tell the app to bring her. Like, he's got a path to
Is that the first line of the Necronomicon, or ghosts are suave dudes?
Suave dudes.
That's actually a very romantic take on the whole ghost phenomenon, because a lot of people don't, and Man Daddy, you can back me up. A lot of people who actually interact with spirits, they don't necessarily feel any kind of dread or evil.
Right.
Could just be a crush.
Once again, though, Kaz brings up that point of spirits can have an affection towards the real, to us, the real material world. And a lot of times, romantic ghost stories have been written.
Absolutely.
So,
But don't be too beautiful that evil spirits attach to you and ruin your life.
No.
That's bad.
Yeah, so whatever you're doing, throw it off scent a little bit. so it's not following.
Do ghosts smell?
I don't want to know.
Maybe they perceive you in ways you've never even thought of. Man,
exactly.
This is true, Kaz.
All you have to do to reach out to us is 570-478-3789, 570-4RT FRTZ, and also Facebook. Just look us up at Fort Fritz.
All right, welcome back to Fort Fritz. I am co-host Man Daddy. As always, with us we have Kaz right here.
Howdy, folks.
We have Nick Spry, Esquire,
Much cozier inside here.
and our fearless leader, Fritz, of course.
Greetings.
Now, we just had to come inside because it was just kind of a little too buggy. I think it was buggy outside.
Definitely boggy.
And most of us lost our shoes, or at least partially lost our shoes. And we came back in the house, and there was just a setting of shoes out for us that all seemed to fit perfectly. And did you notice those before when you moved in?
Oh, no, but, at the same point, I don't really notice a lot.
I've noticed
true.
that.
Yeah.
I have noticed that
We've
you don't
noticed
notice
that.
things.
Yeah.
You've noticed that?
I have noticed that. That's really
Why
weird.
didn't you tell me?
Oh, because I didn't think you'd notice. But I noticed that when we came in, that these shoes just seem to fit perfectly, and they're actually really comfy. These are really nice shoes.
Oh,
and so
no.
I don't, it's, maybe the house taketh away, but it also provides. I don't know.
Nick Spry is rocking these sweet-ass hobnail boots.
Yeah, they're
Right,
really.
they're all like seemingly tailored to our personalities. They're not just like the same kind of like you've got slippers on, obviously.
Monogram,
Daddy,
too.
which they're beautiful.
Oh,
Bespoke
I
slippers.
know, because I'm in them.
Nice.
Well,
I can feel
I of course am rocking bowling shoes because
Why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't I?
they're
And
handsome.
you always look good in a pair of saddle shoes.
thank you.
Yeah.
What are saddle shoes?
It's kind of the cut of what a bowling shoe looks like, but that stripe across the middle.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nick Spry is in sandals with socks for some reason.
Hey, it works. Don't judge.
You look great.
They are super
It looks
comfortable.
comfy. It looks really
Yeah,
comfy.
It's like the that's also known as the Ice Cube.
Really?
Yeah. Ice Cube likes the socks with the sandals.
Good for him.
Watch Friday.
I happen to find these bright white Velcro sneakers.
Those are fly, yo.
Thank you.
Those
Pretty
are
fly for a
man.
white guy, I have to say.
Very
Oh, yeah.
easy to put on and also take off my feet.
The not to give away any spoilers. But quick shout out to Stephen King, Dark Tower. This is an exact replica of a scenario that happened in the Dark Tower. And
really?
The shoes helped, but they were ominously, what would you say that? Given.
Why would you bring this up right now?
I was
worried.
really
I'm taking
enjoying these slippers.
I'm worried.
I'm taking,
I'm taking mine off. I'm taking mine off.
All right, get them off. Get them
I
off.
just got squishy socks.
Let's go down it. Let's get further into the house here. There's this new carpeted runner, which actually feels good in my stocking feet. Let's file this down a little bit and take a look. It's still wonderful woodwork in this place, I have to say.
Thank you. I did it all by hand.
You're completely lying to me.
I am.
Nice.
Yeah. it's very very beautiful, and
thank you.
And now here we have arrived in this. It looks like a den, I guess. We've got a roaring fire for some. Did you set a fire in here earlier?
I will be completely honest. I've never even ventured to take a right, and it just seems like I should have. This is gorgeous.
Yes, it's beautiful, and it's nice and warm. It feels good on my semi-wet feet since I had to take off those beautiful shoes that you made demonic thanks to your Stephen King reference.
Yeah, why would you even do that, Kaz?
It was a cautionary reference, okay? It wasn't meant to really affect your life at all.
Well, you're really bumming me out now.
Oh, man. But this is very nice, though.
It is.
I'm bummed, but I'm comfy.
What's all this stuff in here? What are all these boxes?
Just boxes and boxes.
Oh, he's got a gramophone. Look at that.
Oh,
Dude.
that's old school.
No way.
And the boxes they're LPs.
Yes.
We got vinyl. We got vinyl.
Right.
We can get as hipster as we want to right now.
Let's do this.
Uncle Felix even has like wax cylinder cones. Like,
oh my God.
How much equipment did he have?
Man, Daddy, take that one off. That one spooked me out a little bit.
A lot of varied musical influences from your Uncle Felix here, it seems.
It's got some weird stuff in here. It's a real
the place.
Yeah, it's a
crazy amalgamation of taste here.
Yeah, and it seems to tend towards the scarier and creepier. I don't know.
Got some skeletal family in there. I see
What's
that.
going on over there, Fritzy?
Yeah.
What are you struggling with?
Trying to get the damn love seat back.
I don't think it's a recliner.
I don't think it is.
It's not like a lazy boy.
I don't think there's much love in this house when it comes to
all of them lean back.
No.
This is an old school one. You gotta break it. Stop. You gotta break it.
Yep, you just broke the leg off it. That's not a handle.
Damn it.
Are you trying to anger the house? Are you trying to make it mad? It just provided you wonderful slippers, a cozy fire. Now you're breaking the furniture.
There's no difference. You're just laying on it.
You're like sitting on the arm of the love seat that is slumping over,
That
missing
can't be
one
Do
leg.
you have anything better that you can do for me then?
Oh, we could
Ask
listen
you to sit like a
some
normal
records.
person.
Let's
Yeah.
listen to some records. I mean, we got a lot of good stuff here.
All right. What do you got? What do you got in that box?
Pass over a box to me.
All right, here you go. You slide one over.
Thank you.
Open them up.
What do you got? What do you got in that box, Fritz?
I haven't even opened the damn thing yet.
Well, what over here waiting for you to.
The first one I pulled
Entertain
out
me.
was The Plague Mass by Diamanda Gallus.
What?
Yeah,
That
it's a record where a woman with a 6-octave vocal range broke into the second largest cathedral in the world and recorded a satanic mass by
Jesus.
herself at like 4:00 in the morning.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's the first one I pulled out.
Okay.
Okay.
I have Peter, Paul, and Mary, Puff the Magic Dragon.
Oh God, no!
Yeah, it's really spooky. Really spooky.
With
Now
fire.
keep that one. Keep the Dragon album.
Okay.
Dragons. What do you got there, Kaz? You see anything interesting in yours?
I mean, this one seems to be a lot of just like top 40 stuff. I've seen a lot of George Michael and
Really?
Yeah, he's actually this is kind of a cool one. You mind if I keep this one? Oh wait, no,
What is it?
never mind.
What is it? What do you got?
Nothing.
What ruined it?
This is Paul Rubin's rap album. Apparently,
Ooh.
Okay.
pretty rare, I
Pretty
imagine.
dark, actually.
Keep that one. I
Okay.
don't want it.
Was it
All right.
recorded in a movie theater?
Because that would be sexy.
Yeah.
Bow chicka bow wow.
Whoa.
God, what did it do to you, man?
Is that a
Had a
dust
film
cloud?
on it or like something. Yeah, that was
Kaz
strange.
is in
Got
a
it
dust
in
cloud
lunch.
now. I can't even
not
see. It's like
good.
Pigpen.
I get it. You vape.
I have the Macho Man Randy Savage's solo record right here.
Oh, that's a
hell yeah.
ray of
That's a good
sunshine
one.
right there.
Throw
That's
throw that beast on.
that's a glimmer of wonder in this world.
He's also got the single for Eddie Murphy's "My Girl Parties All the Time."
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
What?
Let me.
No.
Can I just interject?
Fuck
My
it.
favorite Randy Savage rap of all time is "Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey." Ooh yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that you just had it on deck too.
Yeah,
You weren't
yeah.
even like, I think it was Tower. You were just like ready.
No hesitation.
Whoa! What was that?
What was that?
Was that one of those like secret phrases that the house responds to?
It's like a crazy armoire just popped out of the wall here.
Oh.
It's unfolding.
Oh,
Bro,
wow.
these
It looks
drawers.
state of the art too. What is this?
What's in there?
Looks like more records.
More
actually.
records.
More records, yeah. These are the
Okay.
secret ones, apparently?
My God,
These are the special the house mixes. I
Special
guess.
stash.
I'm
these
guessing
are
maybe their mixtape is fire.
these are all completely unopened. They're all still blister wrapped.
Yeah, they're pristine.
All right, well, as our resident guinea pig man daddy, why don't you go ahead and crack that bad boy open, take a look, see.
Who's that record by?
Getting real tired of this Kaz. Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Well, it's mostly a lot of not really shocking stuff. A little bit of Tom Jones, a little bit of Tom Jones in there.
Pretty dark. Dark.
Pretty kind of dark.
Pretty dark.
That's not unusual.
No, it's not unusual.
No.
See what he did. We got some Engelbert Humperdinck.
Okay.
Which is
Very funny
even
to
though
say.
the most darkest of music, the name is so funny
It's
it makes
hilarious.
it okay.
Yeah, you smile.
But and there's only oh no,
What?
this isn't good. A lot of people talk about joke metal bands and they're all scary. But have any of you ever heard of the band Mayhem? In case you've never heard of Mayhem, let me hip you. Now, for decades, parents have been afraid of metal bands and the music and the imagery, saying that it was evil or maybe even satanic. But most parents have never heard of a band that maybe they should be afraid of, and that's Mayhem. Mayhem blurred or even removed the line between reality and fantasy of the dark themes that metal music can dip into. They were formed in 1984 in Oslo and were some of the founders of the Norwegian black metal scene. Now, this scene dealt with the themes of darkness and evil in a much more, shall we say, real way. Not only did they sing about evil, death, and the dark arts, they kind of practiced it. In the 90s
Jesus.
and the 2000s, there were a series of church burnings that were attributed to and even bragged about by local death metal bands, including Mayhem. Now, I'm going to use just their stage names because I don't really want to destroy the Norwegian names. It's way more fun to use their stage names. So the band began with Euronymous on guitar and Necro Butcher on bass, and with various drummers and session vocals for a while. The band gained the majority of their fame, though, after 1988 when they added vocalist Dead and drummer Hellhammer. Now, Dead was known for taking the black metal image to the limit, and he's known as the first to use what's known now as corpse paint on his face. That's the typical white and black black metal,
right.
death metal, image that you're used to.
Kind of like Ghost, right? Like Ghost does that.
But a little more dirty, not so refined.
Gotcha.
Like a Rob Zombie.
No, just not to be like Kiss, not to be like Alice Cooper or anything like that, but wanting to actually look dead.
It's like Death Clock.
That was the whole point. Yeah, closer to what Death Clock kind of does, but not trying to be funny, not trying to be ironic or anything like that. He actually wanted to look dead. Sometimes Dead would take his stage clothes and bury them for days at a time, and then dig them up right before the gig, so he would look more dead on stage.
Ugh.
And then he took it to another level, where he would carry around with him a plastic bag with a dead crow in it.
What?
And before gigs, he would put his face in the bag and huff the fumes
what the hell?
to get more death inside of him and to get closer to that side.
Crow Jenkins.
Yeah. And while on stage, Dead was famous for cutting himself with broken glass or using hunting knives to cut himself. Their stage show often involved real pig or sheep heads impaled on stakes in front of the audience. And this is something they did for years.
Man, they really went with that shock value.
Oh, yeah. But like I said, these are real pig heads. If you go see bands like Wasp or something like that, they're going to have fake pig heads and stuff. These are real pig and sheep heads and whatnot. And they did this for years, even to the point that in 2003, they were sued by a man who got hit by a severed goat head at one of their shows that got thrown into the audience. So they kept at it. You got to give them that. But where things get a little darker, and by a little darker, I mean a whole lot darker, is in 1990. The band moved into a dark cabin in the woods because, of course, they did.
Of course they did.
Now, reports say that during this time, Euronymous and Dead had numerous fights and confrontations. It was said that they weren't really friends at all during this time, and a lot of butting heads. And Dead became more and more introverted and more, into his stage persona. And there are times that the arguments got so bad that Dead would leave the house and just go sleep in the forest. So he would just go in the forest and sleep on the ground somewhere. And a quote from a friend about how Dead got was that he, Dead, didn't see himself as human. He saw himself as a creature from another world. He said he had many visions that his blood had frozen in his veins, that he was dead. That is the reason he took that name, because he knew that he would die.
Okay. So that's...
And that you could say that's eerily prophetic, except for on April 8th, 1991, Dead committed suicide in the cabin. He was found by Euronymous. He was found with slit wrists and a shotgun wound to the head. And his suicide note read, quote, "Excuse all the blood. Cheers." And included an apology for firing the gun indoors. Because that's really the offensive act he did here, was just not obeying good shotgun protocol.
I mean, that's a very polite way to go out, though.
Good guy. Good guy.
Well, I mean, there is that shame sometimes, with, suicide, not in all cultures, I should say, but, there is that shame aspect. And to be kind of gracious in death can maybe set up a gracious, start to another life.
Yeah, he sounds like a super gracious, solid guy, this Dead.
Yeah, this Dead guy. Really, he's a dead solid.
Kaz.
But when Euronymous found the body, he did what anyone would do. He quickly went to the nearest convenience store and bought a disposable camera.
No.
He went back to the scene, ranged it a little bit, and took pictures of the suicide. And you can see this picture if you want on the cover of their next release, Dawn of Black Hearts.
Oh my God.
Where it's a picture of him where brain coming out of skull, half of head gone. Absolutely not for the faint of heart. Don't look it up if you have a soul. Don't look it up if you have a soul, is basically what I'm saying. But that's not all. There's more. He then took pieces of the skull and made necklaces that he would later give to other musicians that he respected and deemed worthy. And they became like his special totem to give people was pieces of dead skull necklace. And there are reports that he made stew with parts of Dead's brain. And actually consumed it.
Dude?
Now, the callousness of Euronymous can be summed up in a phone call the next day. The next day, he called up Necrobutcher, which is a fun phrase to say. He called up Necrobutcher and said, quote, "Dead has done something really cool. He killed himself." And then added, "Relax. I have photos of everything."
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, and
this is like someone who's like off his rocker.
Yeah, and decided he's going to use this to propel the fame of the band, which he did, and which, kind of worked. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah, Uncle Felix was crazy enough to have one of their records.
Yeah, and it seems like he wanted you to have it once you said the magic phrase that brought it to us. So once again, the house provides shoes and albums of evil. It
was just a Macho Man Randy Savage quote.
No, it's a really specific trigger, I gotta say, for some serious Norwegian black metal.
I
don't like this.
It's a heck of a crossover.
Man of the ropes.
Now, the suicide affected Necrobutcher, and he left the band. Euronymous reformed the band with new members, and many were short-lived due to being threatened or even attacked by Euronymous. He later hired new session musicians, one who called himself Count Grizhnak. Love that name.
All right.
Count Grizhnak on bass. I guess I should be making fun of these guys. Count Grizhnak on bass and Blackthorn on rhythm guitar and new singer Attila. To promote the album, Euronymous and Grizhnak conspired to blow up a nearby cathedral that was going to appear on the album cover. But the plan never came to fruition. Darn. Because of a minor hitch a few days later. After an argument between Grizhnak and Euronymous over a contract dispute, Lord Grizhnak stabbed Euronymous 23 times in the neck, head, and back, killing him. He was arrested. This is a new member, Lord Grizhnak.
That's the minor hitch?
Yeah, that's a little, just kind of got in the way.
Got stabbed 23 times.
A little bump in the road. 23 stab wounds to the neck, head, and back. Just a little, get over it. Walk it off, guys. You're Norwegian black metal. This is nothing to you.
And he killed Euronymous?
Yep, he killed Euronymous. She was arrested days later and was sentenced to 21 years for the murder and also for being tied to previous church arsons.
You only get 21 years for killing a guy and burning down churches in Norway?
Yeah.
Lord Grishnak only got
21 years.
But Lord Grishnak was the one who was previously burning down churches, or?
Yes, he was involved in church burning as well. They all pretty much were. That was kind of like the hip thing to do, being a Norwegian black metal band in the late 90s, early 2000s.
It was like handing out flyers. They would be like, on the corner, they'd be like,
hey man, have you seen my church burning? We did that. Totally did that.
Come see us at the so-and-so on Friday.
2 for 1 draft.
At the Iron Turtle.
Do you like music? Because you're going to love how we burn churches. Come on out to our show.
It's open mic from 9 to 10.
Open mic.
Oh, you can eat hot wings. Now, Hellhammer, the drummer, later reformed Mayhem with new members and started taking the band into a more racist, nationalist direction, claiming that none of the current members were Satanists, but still carried on with their turbulent past with frenetic shows and backstage drama, including one member getting kicked down a flight of stairs and being sent to the hospital. And the band still continues to tour to this day. However, nothing they do will ever overshadow their early days and the absolute nightmare scenario that took place in a dark cabin in the woods in 1991.
That is absolutely terrifying.
How has no one made this movie yet?
There's a documentary on Netflix. Or at least it was.
Yeah, there was. I can't think of the name of it.
It was good.
Was it called Mayhem, perchance?
No, it was like something Into the Darkness.
You can see interviews with some of the surviving members on a documentary called Metal, a Headbanger's Journey.
Wow.
And they get kind of confrontational. They're kind of uptight guys, if you can't tell.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but it's just so funny when you think about how, parents were going to court saying that Judas Priest was doing this, or Iron Maiden was doing this. It was like, no, that's fun theater. This is some stuff that actually happened.
Yeah, like with an actual murder. Okay, so like after 21 years, was this person let out of prison? Are they still in prison, Lord Grishnak?
No, actually, Lord Grishnak is out now, and I think he lives.
He's out of prison.
Yeah, and I think
What is he doing now then?
I think he lives in Las Vegas.
What?
Wow, a free man? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Jeez.
Like Las Vegas or L.A. or something like that.
Burned down churches and killed a man.
Yeah. Stabbed him furiously. He first claimed that most of the cuts were from broken glass, and then they're like, well, broken glass can't stab the back of the head. They're like, all right, it was me.
That's insane.
You got me.
That's absolutely insane.
Excuse me.
Well, let's listen to something a little bit more lighthearted.
Can we?
I got some Herb Alpert here. Okay. That's Chuck Mangiano.
Damn it!
Take a little break. That was freaking awesome, Man Daddy.
Thank you.
That was great. Absolutely crazy and very scary because it was totally real. And the justice system, huh?
Let's listen to some of this non-copyrighted music while we go to a break.
Sure.
Hey,
yeah,
that sounds like a great idea. You're listening to Fort Fritz. Welcome back to Fort Fritz. I am co-host Man Daddy.
I am Fritz, of course, joined by Nick Spry.
I am Nick Spry.
And Kaz.
I am Kaz.
So,
why is everyone auto-tuned really bad for some reason?
Sorry, I had this damn switch over here.
There we go.
That's better.
You go. That's a little better. The whole story of Mayhem, how an individual could kill one of their band members and then post the suicide pictures, like very
you've been
frightening.
on tour.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can see killing them, maybe not taking the pictures.
Hey. Wait, you're the drummer. You're the one everyone else wants to kill.
Yes.
That's right. That's totally different.
Yes, and thank God for my cat-like ninja instincts, I was able to
That
slice
was
that
impressive.
book in half. Look at that.
Impressive.
Tensions run high in one of the most perfect democratic nations of the world, Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do.
I would imagine they
Very
would.
tense. Very tense.
But very lax judiciously. Like they, you can kind of get away with stuff in Norway. It seems like. Didn't that dude who went to there was like an island somewhere and he killed like 30 people with an assault rifle, and they gave him like 8 months. And
What?
like,
Yeah, he killed like 70, I think. With
Yeah, that's right. It's actually one of
Holy
the
cow!
biggest mass murders of all time.
Yeah, and he
it was
dressed
like
up
a
as a
kid's
cop.
camp.
No, that was a great point, Kaz, to
Thank
bring
you.
up.
Horrible. Shocking.
But also, unfortunate because I've started sage smudging this room. I feel a very evil presence
It
coming
smells
from
delicious in here.
But also, when this record player swiveled out, there's a little compartment with this little figurine. Do you see this? You guys want to take a look at it?
She's
kinda,
cute.
what is that?
What does it look like to you?
It looks like a little.
Tchotchke?
Yeah, kind of like a tchotchke. Yeah,
It's a tchotchke.
yeah, kind of like a
From Happy
A little
Days?
toy. A little hee.
No, there's something written on that. That looks like a golem. You got to be careful of that.
What even
That-
is he
there's-
saying?
there's
What
a little
is it? It just looks
inscription
like a
on the
little toy.
forehead.
It's
Now,
like-
there's
like a
I
Happy
don't
Meal
speak
toy.
Hebrew, but it looks
All
like
right.
Hebrew.
I'm
That's on the
stepping away
forehead.
from it.
You
I'm
should put
stepping
that
away
down.
from it.
That can be
Okay.
dangerous.
What do you mean?
It's a golem. It can be really dangerous. You never heard of the Golem of Prague?
What was it called again?
The Golem of Prague. So, for those of you who don't know, a golem is basically a man-like being that's been created out of inanimate matter, typically in legend clay or stone, and it's been brought to life through shamanic or mystical means, typically by someone that is considered of divine in nature, like someone of a religious figure. The word even appears in Psalms in the Bible, and I think it's chapter 139, verse 16. And it's translated from Hebrew to mean something like a light form, quote unquote, or a raw material, so that it implies that the golem would be an unfinished version of a human being without a soul in the eyes of God.
Interesting.
So no golem is fully human, and one of the biggest markings of a golem was that the fact that they do not have the capability of speech, which typically implies that there would be some sort of thought or independent thought or will about it.
Is this some sort of like botched reincarnation, or is it like
No, it's
some kind of faulty trap door and a soul's trying to get in?
there is no soul whatsoever. It is literally a creation made of clay that is brought to life through magical means, through Kabbalistic spell, basically. It's almost like an alchemist challenge in transmuting something to have life, like a homunculus.
So is it just like for a task, or are they like individual, beings?
They are made specifically for tasks. They're made to...
They're Meeseeks.
Almost. They're almost a Meeseek. They're made to complete a task, except they're made to complete more than one task. They constantly obey their master. Probably the most famous account of a golem would be the Golem of Prague in the late 16th century. The capital city of Prague, at then what was the Kingdom of Bohemia, in around 1580 or so, ruled by Rudolf II, was besieged by a giant racial divide, the Jews versus the Christians. There was a giant blood feud going on, and there was many accusations of Christian children being slaughtered by the Jews, and it was a big scheme, basically, to plant bodies in the Jewish ghetto and then accuse certain peoples of having committed murders or use them for other nefarious means. And I'm looking at you with that vocab word, Kaz, nefarious.
Nefarious.
Yeah.
I love the word
that.
nefarious. I use it as much as I can.
So as the story goes, the Rabbi Yehuda Lo ben Bazel he was the leading religious rabbi of the community then. He had negotiated with the King Rudolf and made giant strides to progress the fight of the Jewish people, to the point that where the Jewish people, when accused of a crime like this, were judged as an entire people, not just the individual. And through his negotiations, he had King Rudolf make it so the laws were changed. They would basically be judged solely on that person who was accused of the crime, and they had to have proof positive. So it was giant strides in that fight. But there was a local priest named Tadeusz, who was a giant anti-Semite, and he hated the Rabbi Lo, who was also known as Maharal, which was sort of an acronym of his name in Hebrew. It was... basically, it translates to our teacher, Rabbi Lo. And Maharal was an acronym, so everyone basically called him the Maharal. But he hated this man, and he plotted to basically do more supplanting of bodies and ignite a pogrom, which is a violent riot against the Jews, in order to kill them and put them in lower standing in the kingdom. So the legend goes that the Maharal, he called upon the heavens in a dream for a way to defeat this foe of Thaddeus, his enemy, and the enemy of his people. And the answer was given to him alphabetically in the Codex of the Kabbalah. And that was Adabra Golem Devak Hakmor V'Chtizyer Zedem Shavel Torfe Yisrael. Or, create a golem out of clay who will destroy all the enemies of Israel. And using the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism, he used formulas from them called Zephyrim so that he could translate and decrypt this message, and it gave him the instructions on how to build this golem and how to bring it to life with that of a Shem. And a Shem is the unspoken name of God. And it's this very complicated alphanumeric code that is only given to the highest of the high rabbis, and its power is unlimited, so it's considered divine.
Like a mystic programming language.
Correct.
With numerology, basically.
If you've ever seen the movie Pi, one of Darren Aronofsky's first movies, that is basically what they're referring to is what they call a Shem, and it's an elongated, it's a shortened version.
So basically, Yahweh was the conversationalist term for Shem, which is something that was a closely guarded word.
Well, there were many names of God, but there were secret names of God, and these were the Shem. They were considered holy, and they were full of magical, mystic power, so that you had to actually purify yourself in order to speak those names, and they were almost like spells.
I got a secret name for God.
What is it?
I can't tell you. It's a secret.
Why would you do this? Why do you do this to me?
My interest is piqued.
I just always thought his name was Howard.
Yeah,
Howard.
Yeah, or Lord in heaven, Howard be thy name.
Well, I would like to think the H stands for Hoobastank.
So using these Kabbalic formulas, basically the Maharal, he decrypted this message, and then he enlisted the help of his son-in-law and his best disciple, because they needed to represent the four elements of the earth, and they were all born under the signs of fire, air, water, and the fourth element would be that of the golem that they created of earth. And
so Captain Planet showed up at some point.
And Kwame said Heart.
So I was going to wonder when Heart came in, because it sounded like
Heart was cut because of budget cuts.
Ted Turner had a problem with it, so that was cut from the script. So basically, then after a week of preparing themselves through ablutions and praying and fasting to make their vessels, it's a great word, make their vessels pure for the inhabitant of the Shem while they're speaking these incantations, they then went to the banks of the Moldau River at 4 o'clock in the morning in 1580. And the three formed this man out of clay. They said the incantations as it began to grow with a heat from within it of a brilliant red color. And then it was extinguished by water pouring out, and a cloud of steam poured from it. Hair and nails began to grow after that. And then the three of them would put the Shem in the mouth of the creature and read the words, and he breathed into his nostrils a breath of life. A man became a living soul. And this is from the book of Genesis. And the creature opened its eyes and looked up at them. And the Maharal ordered it to stand, and they dressed it in the clothes of a shamas, which is basically a sexton in a temple of Judaism. And they brought it back to town, and they said it would live in the temple. The Maharal named the golem Joseph and commanded its loyalty, or he forbade anyone from giving it minor taxidu in saying that it was the guardian of their community. And the golem was then known to the community and even made fun of, as it appeared to be just a deaf mute sitting with his face cupped in his hands inside of this temple. So and they would call it Yosele.
So he was basically this like a microwaved creation of clay with Hephaestus club foot, and with the droopy face, and it was like this ugly thing.
Dennis.
Almost.
But it had one job.
But a giant, too. He was over 3 L's long, which is an ancient terminology. Basically, he was almost about 9 feet tall. He's giant.
Yeah, so, okay.
Yes. So just a gentle giant, almost like the Prague band.
Keyboard solo coming up.
But all the while people were getting to know him and making fun of him, Joseph was being sent out at night to protect the people, and he was sent out on secret and dangerous missions, sometimes which would require the Maharal to make him invisible while wearing him a magical amulet. And probably the most famous instance of him protecting this community was that there was a debt quarrel between The businessman who was the most successful businessman and would deal with the Gentiles in the kingdom, and his name was Mordecai Maisel, and the owner of a slaughterhouse who used to transport his goods through the Jewish ghetto into the city for wares. The slaughterhouse owner owed Mordecai 5,000 crowns and refused to pay the debt, and he eventually came up with this plan in order to shirk his debt of taking the body of one of his Christian neighbors who had a child that died, taking this child, digging it up after the funeral, placing it inside the carcass of a pig that he had slaughtered, and wrapping it in a tassel.
Like a baby ducking.
Or wrapping it, or wrapping it in a tallis, rather, which is the Jewish prayer scarf. And he was going to put that in the home of Mordecai and say that he was using the bodies and the blood of Christian children in order to bake matzos for patzo. Yeah.
Innovative, at least.
Really, really strange.
Yeah.
And so he loaded it into his wagon, and it was taken through town. And Yosef, the golem, was there, and without speaking, since he could not speak, ordered him to pull over, investigated the wagon, found what was going on, beat the heck out of this man, tied him up, and left him in the square with the pig carcass with the child inside for the authorities to find. And once the king heard of this, and it was obvious that it was a plot, a conspiracy to undermine the Jewish community, he forbade all blood accusations against the Jewish peoples.
Is this where the whole "don't eat like pig" comes from?
No, that's a little bit. That's just refrigeration. It's pretty simple. Trichinosis.
Trichinosis. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just helping you out.
The story doesn't end that well, though.
Shocker.
Yeah. Eventually, it was tradition for once a week on the Sabbath to take the shem out of this creature's mouth and revert it back to clay. And for the day of the Sabbath, it would do no work. And one Friday evening, as the sun set, the Maharal forgot to remove the piece of paper, and the creature went out and wreaked havoc upon the ghetto.
Oh, God.
Threatening the lives, hurting people, destroying property, until he had to go out in the street and fight it by hand and physically remove the shem until it fell into pieces on the ground.
He got the shem from a 9-foot clay demon monster.
Basically.
How?
Yeah.
With his fists?
I'm just gonna say,
Hands and feet, gnashing teeth.
I'm just going to say, insert in your mind the footage of Jet Li as a late 16th century Jewish rabbi fighting a stone monster, and somehow he rips this piece of paper out of its mouth.
Jeez.
I can see it.
That's the power of God.
I'm seeing like
Heroic.
bullet time, 3D camera angles type going on.
That was all happening.
And so these pieces were actually collected and interred in the old New Synagogue, which still exists to this day in Prague. And it's rumored that the pieces were still in the attic, which was sealed off and no one was allowed to enter. But a film crew in the 20th century entered the attic and no trace of the golem was found.
Well, of course, someone's going to steal that golem and be like, yeah, 9-foot monster, you're going to stay with me in my parents' garage.
Honey, why do you have a 9-foot clay demon monster in the garage?
His name is Yosef, Mom.
Yeah.
You would understand. God!
Expect some respect from you, Mom!
We're just listening to music!
At least he stays with me and likes when you go off with Chad.
There's actually another...
That's not my dad! Chad will never be my dad!
There's actually another sort of heartbreaking end to the story where it once again goes into... it's no one's sure on what actually happened, but another apocryphal tale is that he actually fell in love with a woman and somehow communicated his love and was rejected, and out of heartbreak went on rampage.
Yosef got friend zoned, and then he went on a tear.
Just lost it. He couldn't handle it.
Yosef
Just did what he knows how to do. Wreck the town.
Seek and destroy, my friend. Seek and destroy.
Get over it,
And
Yosef.
so how did they finally end his rampage?
Again, the shem was removed from his mouth. But there's
Same guy did it?
Yes, this is the
Same guy. Like, all right, get in there, do it again, buddy.
It's a different end to the same legend.
Okay.
But there is also different versions of where, as opposed to putting a shem in the mouth of the golem, you would write the words
Stop it, dude.
Emet on the forehead of the golem, and which means truth, and it would bestow life onto it. And then to put it down, you would erase, because Hebrew is read from right to left, you would erase the aleph, which the first letter, on the end of it, and it would spell the word meth, which means death, and that would put it to sleep.
Wow, that is
Meth
incredible.
means death.
Yes.
Remember that, kids.
That was a little PSA from Mandaddy. Parents, you can always contact us here at Fort Fritz by dialing
570
Go ahead.
4RT FRTZ.
There you go.
There you go, Kaz.
Kaz.
Yeah, Kaz got it. Big
Yeah.
ups.
You get a
Big
cookie.
ups.
Thank
Let's
you.
give him this little statue as a prize.
Can I have some meth?
Didn't you just hear the PSA? I thought I saw that little thing move a little bit while you were telling that story when you said some of those things about phrases and stuff. I thought that little thing moved a little bit. I just don't like that thing.
He's just a little guy, though. He's not 9 foot tall. Like, what's he going to do? We're not
Still
worried
could be a
about
little
that.
terrifying thing going through your apartment. Come
Yeah, it
on.
would be
We've all
pretty
seen
scary.
Puppet Master.
Right.
Alright, fair
You're
enough.
okay. Raise your hand. Who has a favorite puppet of the Puppet Master? Mine is Blade.
I've never seen the movie.
I didn't know they had names.
I don't know. I didn't know they have names either, so I'm just going to call him Little Drill Hands.
The drill hands guy was cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's also Pinhead and Leech Woman.
Wait, Pinhead was in Hellraiser, right?
Oh no, but this is Pinhead because he has a little tiny head.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like a little beaker. Like,
Was he the guy with the hammers for the hands?
He had giant hands but a little tiny head.
Was he wearing a little turtleneck?
that's a very smart fashion tip to thicken the neck.
And there wasn't a guy with drill hands. There was a guy with a drill head.
Oh, maybe that's what
It
it
was
was.
Driller.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have two things I would like to add to this. Knowing only a little bit about the incarnation aspect or the enchantment aspect of statues to do whatever the owner of it wants it to do.
That's correct.
In Egypt, there was a statue, and it is still on display in Britain. It's a statue to the god of beer,
Really?
and it
Where
has
can
a
I
little,
see this god?
It has a little prayer etched into it. It's an old-timey cheers in ancient Egypt. On display in this museum over time, it has slowly rotated 360 degrees.
All the way
crazy.
around?
Yep.
All the way over how many years?
It could be a day or maybe a week, but there is an actual time lapse. There's an actual. That's the same thing, right? It's like the same thing.
No, there's a slight difference. There's a slight difference between a day and a week. I mean,
Well, for humans,
I know math. Math is not your strong suit.
but there is an actual time lapse video of this statue made from sand. I could only speculate, but it's got this prayer to the god of alcohol. Having seen that from actual time lapse, video, and who knows, we can even post it on realradio.fm keyword Fritz, so you guys can see this. Absolutely fascinating, but also the Greek myth of Prometheus creating mankind starts with a hard metal. It was like iron or gold
Like-
or
like-
steel.
That's right. Yeah.
Metal?
Like
Yeah.
mayhem metal.
And then it went to bronze, but they realized that the subsequent generation was an inferior incarnation from the gods. And then
Oh.
bronze begat clay.
It's like the death of a star.
And clay were humans.
Wow.
So it's kind of like it all goes back to the ancient religion myths of creating servants.
Well, there's a lot of power in words. Like even the magical term, like the pop culture, a magical term, abracadabra, comes from ancient Aramaic, and it's abracadabra, which literally means I create as I speak.
Neat.
Yeah, I
so
didn't know that.
it's manifesting that will. It's the secret. All I have to do is just have to really think hard, and it's going to happen, man. All I need is that lottery ticket number, man.
Just keep thinking about it. Just keep thinking about it. It's
All
going
I
to
need
happen,
is like 6 more bears.
Yo, that can happen right now.
Well, on behalf of Fort Fritz, I'd like to just mention right now that we are sorry if you had any kind of neurological breakdown from this episode. It was a little spooky. Yeah, so
We've been trying to eat like every episode, and we just haven't ever gotten even a snack in this place.
I mean, I brought sleeping bags this time. Are we staying or are we going?
well, if you are a small business owner, I would love for you to sponsor the show. Just give us a call at 570-478-3789. And Nick Spry,
Hashtag feed us.
you are going to spend the
Feed
night
us?
here. I'm going to go.
Feed us.
I'm going to go. On behalf of Fort Fritz, I would like to thank you for listening to this podcast. Man Daddy,
Bye bye.
Kaz,
Howdy.
and Nick Spry,
Night night.
thank you for listening.